if you can do it now, I'll switch it out for you. That's my side anyway. When I fly and stuff, that's the side I sleep on that side. That's my side. SIM card removed. SIM card removed. What grade?
That was my first. I was listening to you. Right. That's right, yeah, it is. Right on the so sit on the front row, or off to one side. Follow. I'm going to call this September 16th council meeting to order, and as the clerk, call the roll.
Council President Smith.
Here.
Council President Green.
Here.
Councilmember Lyons. Councilmember Middlebrooks.
Here.
Councilmember Murphy.
Here.
Councilmember Posey.
Here.
Councilmember Shaw.
Here. If the clerk will please handle the invocation, and we have some young princesses going to lead us in the pledge. So ladies, if y'all would like to come up front and stand there during the invocation, the flag is right behind Shaw. Okay? Invocation.
Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for your protection upon the city, its citizens and visitors and employees. I pray for those in office that govern
Y'all go back to your original seat. Well, here. Chair is open for a motion on the minutes.
Mr. President, I move for approval of the minutes without reading.
Second.
We have a motion second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed nay. The ayes have it. Now we're ready for announcements, reports, recognitions, and proclamation. Mr. Mayor.
Busy night, busy night.
Well, I figured is that or something controversial we didn't know.
No, it's not. We are happy to have in our audience, and they just said the Pledge of Allegiance for us, the Alabama Cinderella Queens, and I would ask for Ava Walters, and Elena Burke, Emma Kate Osborne, and Kennedy Osborne, if they'd come down and just stand here for a second. These young ladies participate in this organization, and they're all about community service and doing great things for folks all around us. On 9/11, for instance, they visited our fire stations and our police department and brought them some goodies and other things that they do. They visit various nursing homes and just things that they reach out to the community and do things that are helpful and encouraging to the groups that they visit. And so tonight we have Ava Walters. Ava, right, everybody, that's Ava. Ava's a 13-year-old daughter of Dr. Donald and Deanna Walters, and she attends Briarwood. She's a cheerleader and in the show choir. She does ballet and voice at the Amy Murphy Studio, and her personal community service initiative encourage kids and teens to unplug and spend less time on their phones and video games. Very good. I've got 9 grandchildren. I need to read that very thing to them. And then Elena Burke. Elena is the daughter of Eric and Kalika Gibbons of Hoover and Zane Burke. She's an 8th grader at Briarwood, where she serves as captain of the junior high cheering squad. She's a member of the track team. She also trains in classical ballet at the Alabama Ballet School. And Elena loves serving those in her community and is an active part of several local outreach efforts. Thank you, Elena. And Emma Kate, raise your hand for us. There she is. Emma Kate Osborne. She's Alabama Cinderella Tot. And Emma Kate is the 5-year-old daughter of Kevin and Kristen Osborne of Hoover. And she's in kindergarten at Gwynn Elementary. And when she grows up, she wants to be a police officer and a grandmother. Thank you so much. And then Kennedy Osborne. She's the 2019 Alabama Cinderella Tiny Tot. Raise your hand for everybody to see, Kennedy. You gonna do it? No. She wouldn't shake, but she gave me a high five. That was good, right? So Kennedy is the 3-year-old daughter of Kevin and Kristen Osborne of Hoover. She attends a preschool at Montessori Kids Universe. And when she grows up, she wants to be just like her big sister. Don't they all? That's great. Congratulations. We appreciate you young ladies and what y'all are doing for your community, and that speaks volumes for you. Thank you, sir. And tonight we have 2 police officers who we want to recognize. I'd like for Christian Harper, come down, please, sir, if you would. I know you don't want to do that, but Chris is hired as a police officer in September of 1999. He currently works as an SRO at Berry Middle School. He's been there for the past 7 years. And boy, do we love our SRO officers and what they mean to our schools. And there's so much emphasis on school safety now. And I'm just proud that Hoover has stepped out in a leading way to make sure that we have professional police officers like Chris on duty during operating hours of our school system. And, the kids love him. I know when I go over to the schools, they all don't mind coming up to him and talking to him and sharing. He's probably heard a lot of things that Mom and Dad have not heard, I would imagine. But we're grateful for his service and what he does for the past 20 years, and we just want to acknowledge that this evening. Thank you very much. And then for our 30-year service pin, Greg Rector. Greg, come down. There you are. Greg came on as a police officer September of 1989. Was promoted to police sergeant in 1996, lieutenant in 2000, and a police captain in 2005. He is currently assigned as commander to the Investigation Bureau, serves as one of the police department's PIO information officers, and just does a wonderful job. A committed employee, a dedicated police officer that serves his city well, loves his city. You can call on Greg for anything. He's always there to help you. He's fair-minded in the position that he's in. He has to be level-headed, and I have to give him all the credit in the world for being like that. And he also got my parking space when I retired from the fire department, and now he claimed it. It was a good space, wasn't it? We don't really have it. But I found this spot, and it was a good spot, and everybody wanted it. So he got it. Very good, thank you. But we're grateful for his service to our city for 30 years. Thank you very much. And tonight we have several proclamations and that we want to recognize some important events going on in our city and some opportunities to give awareness to something like we are going to talk about tonight. And the first thing we want to talk about is the Gynecologic Cancer Awareness Month. And we have Kelly Rice, who is a very close relation to our own Alan Rice, coming up to represent that group. So Kelly, if you'd come up, and Mr. Attorney, if you would please read the proclamation.
Whereas gynecologic or GYN cancers are among the leading cancer killers of women in the United States, more than 107,000 women will be diagnosed, and more than 31,000 women will die from these diseases this year, and the absence they leave in our hearts will be deeply felt forever. Whereas the Laura Crandall Brown Foundation and their State Appeal Initiative brings awareness of all GYN cancers to the people throughout the state of Alabama. Whereas good health and well-being of women in our state and the city of Hoover are enhanced by increased awareness of GYN cancers and their symptoms and treatments. And whereas it is also crucial that all women in our state and the city of Hoover take an active role in learning the symptoms and risk factors associated with GYN cancers, developing healthy habits, and undergoing regular medical examinations so that any occurrence of these diseases may be detected in their early and treatable stages. Whereas we reflect upon the memory of those lost to these diseases, the bravery of those currently battling these diagnoses, and the need for increased awareness, screening, and research so that the women of our state and the city of Hoover might be spared from them in the future, and encourage all citizens to work together to raise awareness of GYN cancers. Now, therefore, I, Frank B. Mercado, Mayor of the City of Hoover, Alabama, do hereby proclaim September 2019 as Gynecologic Cancer Awareness Month throughout the city, and encourage all residents of Hoover to work together to raise awareness of GYN cancers and to commend this observance to all of our citizens.
might add that this weekend, Saturday at the Preserve, will be the Laura Crandall Brown run that's been held there every year. And that's a great opportunity to come out and support this particular cause right here. So if you're a runner, or you can walk in it as well to represent someone that either has cancer or has unfortunately lost their life to cancer. So we look forward to seeing you out there this week. Next, we have the Constitution Week, and we have the Daughters of the American Revolution, and there are many here today. We've got the Lily of the Cahaba chapter, and that's Susie Koski and Liz Jones. Would y'all come up? And then we have the Cahaba and the Princess Sehoy chapter, and that would be Heather Kaiser and Halcyon Badham, and then Miss Jessie Snipper. Jessie Snipper. Thank y'all. And so we have, and then Oak Mountain, Marla McCulley. Where's Marla? Hello, Marla. Good to see all of you ladies. So, Mr. Attorney, if you would read that.
Whereas the Constitution of the United States of America, the guardian of our liberties, embodies the principles of limited government in a republic dedicated to rule by law. Whereas September 17, 2019 marks the 232nd anniversary of the signing of the Constitution of the United States of America at the Constitutional Convention, providing a historic opportunity for all Americans to remember the achievements of our founding fathers and to reflect on the actions of Americans who have defined the words of the Constitution by exercising their rights and responsibilities as citizens. And whereas the Constitution is fundamentally predicated on governance by we the people, making citizens' understanding of the Constitution and its framework an essential element of our country's future and the civic health of its populace. And whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary, and to the patriotic celebration which will commemorate the occasion. And whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America, designated September 17th through September 23rd as Constitution Week. Now, therefore, I, Frank D. Porcato, by virtue of the authority in me as mayor of the city of Hoover, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through September 23rd as Constitution Week, and urge all citizens to study the Constitution and reflect on the privilege of being an American with all the rights and responsibilities which that privilege involves.
Mr. President, would you allow me a few minutes just to talk about the budget? So a few weeks ago, of course, we've been working on the budget for several months. We really work on it through the year. Great job by our department heads and our employees. We were able to deliver a budget proposal that is balanced, on time, conservative. We delivered that to you about 2 weeks ago. I've gotten some feedback from council members, which I really do appreciate that. I have not heard all of your thoughts, or I have not heard from everyone about exactly where you stand on the budget. So if there are any questions or concerns, we certainly need to be addressing them now, because we want to be on time delivering a budget that we can start operating on 1 October. There are some likely issues that need to be discussed among the full council, and so to me, the best way for us to do that is for us to all get into a room together and so that we can hear what you're very passionate about, and then be able to hear from me and Mr. Rice and from our department heads about how we arrived at some particular, why did we put this truck in, why did we put this training in, those types of things, because as you know, you've looked at it and there are just many, many, many line items that you can go through. So we want to be completely transparent and have you and I have opportunity for each of you to be completely transparent in where you stand with the budget, so that we can do what the citizens have asked us to do, and that is pass a timely, conservative, balanced budget. So I'm asking that, since Mr. Light is not here, I will address the chair and ask that we have a finance committee meeting called preferably Tuesday evening, the 24th. We're open to really whenever it's good for you folks, but we believe if we can all get together and to work on this as a team, as we are, that we can absolutely deliver a quality budget that is on time, conservative, and balanced. And so I would just ask that you would either address that with Mr. Lyda or however you intend to, if you would, Mr. Smith.
All right,
Thank you.
Mr. Corley, the mayor had indicated a hope that this entire body meet with he and staff. We are not allowed to do that under the state sunshine law, can we? We cannot go into executive session to discuss the
No,
budget.
sir, it'd be a
Oh, no, I
public meeting.
didn't, no, sir, I don't want to executive, I want
Okay.
public, no, it needs to be public.
Okay, so we
Absolutely.
need to be in a facility.
Like this, yeah, or somewhere in the city that we can
After
meet.
tonight, I believe we're gonna be, transferring all meetings over to the senior center.
Yes, sir, we can accommodate the location, just if we can,
We need to check, with, senior center and make sure they don't have an activity planned for the 24th. And at this time, I will go ahead and announce that I intend to call a special called meeting on, the 26th at 6 o'clock for the sole purpose of addressing the budget, calling for the vote.
okay. Thank you, sir, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Any other presentations?
Mr. President, so that, just to be clear, are you planning to have a meeting on the 24th and 26th, or just the 26th?
Just the 26th at this point. I've got to, well, Mr. Light is not here. Mr. Posey, you're vice chair of finance. What is your preference?
Well, I guess I'll phrase this as a question. I know that John was working on pulling together a lot of some of what we had and looking at commonalities. Has he sent that to you as of today?
I don't have it, but that goes to the point why it's so important that each and every one of you be able to discuss that publicly, and that
Right.
you be able to address a certain item that Public Works put in or the library put in.
Sure.
And so I just think it's important that, and we don't have to wait till the 24th. I was just trying to give you some lead time. We're ready.
If you had it on, Mr. President, if you instead of having the called meeting on the 26th, what if you had you got a finance committee meeting on the 26th, and put the other one on the 30th, or would you want to do the 24th and
Mr.
26th?
Light is gonna be out, Mr. Green's gonna be out of the country.
Okay.
So I wanted to make sure that his schedule.
Sure,
into
sure.
consideration.
I mean, I really think if you, and I can text John, if you can get what he has. I know I've talked with him about it, and I know you've talked with him about it. Casey, I think you've talked with him about it. I think you're gonna get, I don't know about everybody else, but I think you'll get kind of a commonality of where we stand on certain things. And a lot of them we did agree upon, some were different, and we've had to discuss it further. But I think that document would help hash out kind of where things are and give you an opportunity to have individual meetings, or maybe the group meeting, to talk about things that are bypassed.
I think the best way for us to be very transparent and for each one of you to be able to share where you stand on each of these items and to understand where we came from. It's just, I don't think that we could give it proper service by back and forth conversation. And I just, I really believe the opportunity to discuss this as a group would really get us to the point of where we need to be and get this budget passed on time. So I'd appreciate the council calling that meeting so that we have that opportunity to discuss this.
Sorry.
Isn't that the intent of this meeting on the 26th?
The meeting on the 26th is to vote the budget. If for whatever reason, the budget does not pass, then we would have to vote a continuing budget resolution in order for the city to continue to operate after starting October.
Right, I would think that would be the agenda to discuss when any, I mean, obviously we can't, to be transparent, fully comply with those meetings laws, we're not gonna have any kind of deliberation beforehand or whatever. So that, I would think that's what that meeting is for, right? So it won't be a quick one necessarily, but.
The finance committee doesn't have to put out doesn't have to give a recommendation against the budget because it's
Right.
public.
But I can also understand the mayor's position where whatever agreements are made out of whatever list exists, if it's held on the 24th or even earlier, then that allows staff an opportunity to make adjustments themselves, to have a more complete document for us to move on the 26th.
Tuesday.
Madam Clerk, why don't you check with the senior center and see if the 23rd and or the 24th is available? And then, hopefully within the next 24 hours, we can announce the meeting, so proper notice will be given to the public. Anything else? Okay. Now we're to the consent agenda. A consent agenda is presented by myself as council president at this point of the council meeting. Items presented on the consent agenda are considered routine and non-controversial and are organized apart from the rest of the agenda and are adopted by general consent without debate. Items may be removed from the consent agenda on request of any one member of this body or any one member of the public. Removed items will be taken up typically immediately after the consent agenda is dealt with. With that, Mr. Corley, we've got items 7 through 17 on this consent agenda. If you would handle all the legal responsibilities, sir.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Resolution number 607819 authorizes the mayor to renew an assignment of benefits agreement with BCS Insurance Company for stop loss insurance coverage. Resolution number 607919 amends the budget for the fiscal year ending September 30, 2019, as set forth in the exhibit to the resolution. Resolution number 607219 assesses costs in the amounts listed on exhibit A for the removal of nuisances on the properties, and authorizes the levy of amounts as an assessment on such properties for weed liens as provided under Alabama law. Resolution 607319 authorizes the mayor to execute an agreement with United Way Area Agency for Jefferson County for the Hoover Senior Center. Resolution 607419 approves the disposal of public property listed in the resolution for public auction by a donation to one or more state, local, or educational public agencies that have demonstrated the need for such items. Resolution 6519 authorizes signatories on Exhibit A for various accounts with Regions Bank and Wells Fargo Bank effective October 1st, 2019. Resolution number 608019 authorizes the mayor to execute an agreement with Milan Tech, DBA Data Tech 911 in the form attached as Exhibit A to the resolution. Resolution number 607719 approves an alcohol license for 6219 Tattersall Boulevard for Publix Alabama LLC. Resolution 607619 rejects all bids for the Star Lake Improvement Project. Resolution number 608119 authorizes Mayor Brocato to execute an agreement with Bell South Communications LLC doing business as AT&T Southeast. And the last item is the payment of bills.
Mr. President, I move for approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. One other statement about the consent agenda. These are gone over in great detail at our work session the Thursday prior to the meeting. Of course, we would encourage anybody and everybody to come to work sessions, meetings like this, or call meetings. But if you can't attend, it's going to be on YouTube. And so you can go watch it at your leisure. Now we're going to get to the regular portion of our agenda, Resolution 608219, Mr. Corley.
This resolution authorizes Mayor Brocato to execute a right-of-way agreement with Birmingham Water Works for the extension of a water main on Municipal Drive for the Hoover Police Training Facility.
Mr. President, I move for the approval of resolution number 6082-19.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. On this item, it is my understanding that Mr. Murphy, you would like to,
Same for voting on 18, 19, and 20.
okay, very good. Any comments or questions from the council? Any from the audience? Seeing and hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Resolution 608319, Mr. Corley.
This resolution authorizes Mayor Brocato to execute an agreement with Birmingham Water Works for the extension of the water main on Municipal Drive for the Hoover Police Training Facility.
Mr. President, I move for the approval of resolution number 6083-19.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Once again, Mr. Murphy will not be participating. Any comments or questions from the council? Any from the audience? Seeing, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Resolution 608419, Mr. Corley.
This resolution authorizes Mayor Brocato to execute a special service agreement with Birmingham Water Works for the extension of another water main on Municipal Drive as shown in the resolution.
Mr. President, I move for the approval of resolution number 6084-19.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Once again, Mr. Murphy will be abstaining from this vote. Any comments or questions from the council? Any from the audience? Seeing and hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Moving on, now we're at ordinance 19-2456. Wait a minute. We're at ordinance number 19-2455. Mr. Corley.
So this is the second reading of ordinance number 19-2455, which rearranges, alters, and extends the city's corporate limits to include property owned by Black Ridge Partners LLC as shown on the map attached to the ordinance.
Mr. President, I move for the approval of ordinance number 19-2455.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions from the council? Anything from the audience? Don't leave, it's just not getting good. Any questions from the audience? Seeing, hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Now we have ordinance 19-2456. Mr. Corley.
This is the second reading of ordinance number 19-2456, which amends certain sections of the municipal code of the city of Hoover to relocate meetings of the Board of Zoning Adjustment, City Council, Planning and Zoning Commission, and the Hoover Arts Council to the locations specified in the ordinance.
Mr. President, I move for the adoption of ordinance number 19-2456.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions from the council? just so everybody understands, this is the portion required by state law where the council has to announce where our meetings are held every month. During the anticipated renovation of this building, this body, as well as planning and zoning, BZA, and the Arts Council, and not sure who else, but we're all gonna be moving to the senior center. We are also anticipating, another vote that would move one or two meetings out east to, possibly Greystone Elementary School, so we can encourage some participation on their side of the city. Once again, any comments or questions? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Green?
Uh,
Mr. Meyer? Dr. Hoover?
Aye.
Mr. Murphy? Mr. President?
Aye.
Mr. Shaw?
Aye.
Aye. Madam Clerk, I invariably, need to make a correction on ordinance 19-2455. I called for a, mass vote rather than a roll call. We need to back up and have a roll call vote for ordinance 19-2455. Does the motion still stand as presented? What? Okay. Madam Clerk, please call the roll for ordinance 19-2455.
Mr. Green?
uh,
Dr. Middlebrooks?
Aye.
Mr. Murphy? Mr. President?
Aye.
Mr. Shaw?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye. I'll have this figured out in about 14 months. Resolution number 6057-19, which will also include a public hearing. Mr. Corley.
This resolution approves a conditional use request by Charles Diggs to allow for the use of Class A climate-controlled storage facility within a C2 zone on the property located at 5281 Ross Bridge Parkway.
All right, first, we're gonna have a public hearing. Is there anyone that would like to speak on behalf of the applicant or, anyone from the public that would like to speak for or against? Mr. Marks, come on down.
Stan Marks, 5274 Cottage Lane. Here tonight, just to kind of say I wanted to thank the folks with the project. I met with, I spoke with Josh on the phone, and I've also met with Slade and Austin Blackwell, as well as Mr. Blackwell. And I'm here tonight to say that the project, that as it's been presented through the P&Z and the project, you know, that I've seen the renderings of, and the good conversations that I've had with the developer, that I'm here to support the project. I just had a few things, and again, I apologize because I did not get to come to any of the planning sessions, so I may ask you just a couple of questions, but I believe everything I feel pretty confident with. But the and this, if this came up in P&Z, or excuse me, if this came up in the planning session, please just tell me, and I'll be glad to move on. But there was just a couple of things. One was about chain link fencing. Is there anything? Was the fencing addressed? And just, is there any fencing planned? And if so, where is it?
Mr. Martin.
I do believe the applicant is here, so correct me if I'm wrong, but do not recall there being any fencing as a part of the application. The storage is going to be completely contained within the two buildings. Is the applicant here? Is that correct?
Yeah, the only fencing would be what would be required by.
If you're gonna speak, we would need to get you on the record because we got 32 people watching it.
Sorry. Josh Boyd with Stories 1501 Pumpas Court in Vestavia. The only fencing that we will have is what will be required by the city to secure the detention pond. And that will be in the back part of the area, but that is just kind of required for liability reasons.
You're not gonna have any motorhome storage or anything like that?
No, sir.
This is a public hearing. Any other questions from the council or the public?
And then another question I had was regarding any cart storage. I've been in other facilities and the carts are typically stored inside the facility, like a flatbed cart. If there is gonna be any kind of cart storage or a carousel, I guess I was curious to know yeah, I know like at Aldi on 150, there's like a 4-foot brick wall and then they can store the carts behind there, but is there any kind of, will there be any kind of cart storage, on the facility?
It will all be contained in the building.
And generally that's it, so I'm supportive of the project. I mean, it's a storage facility, and at the end of the day, I know that in my meetings with the Blackwells and in my discussions with Josh, that I'm very comfortable, that I think that the building is gonna be in keeping with a look that's in the community. We're gonna have primarily a brick facade, and I think it'll be in general keeping with, I think, something that is what I would say, allows the property owner to develop their property, but is also, responsible in a sense that we're just gonna not just throw something up. As my mom always says, Stan, you don't wanna junk it up. And I think that this is heading in a direction that I'm really excited about and looking forward to it. And I just hope that as we continue to do developments throughout the city, that we continue to raise the bar, because I think it's important. Typically, if the bar is here over time, I realize properties get older and not saying they get run down, but I think we need to start higher, and at some point, yeah, things are gonna not look as good today as they did 10 or 20 years ago, and I get that. But I just wanted to thank the parties involved for, sitting down, listening to me and taking some input, and I think we're ready to move forward on the project. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anything else from the audience? Anything else from the council? This ends the public hearing, and the chair is open for a motion.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution number 6057-19.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Once again, any comments or questions from the council? From the audience? Seeing, hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Next, we have resolution 6058-19. We will start again with the public hearing. Mr. Corley.
This resolution approves a conditional use request by Hoover LLC, a PIR zone, that's planned industrial restricted zone, to allow for the location of a restaurant and brew pub with an indoor-outdoor recreation amusement at 1031 Brock's Gap Parkway, Suite 191 in the Brock's Gap Village Center. This restaurant concept would include alcohol for on and off premises sales and recreation amusement to consist of various games and activities.
Is the applicant here tonight? Anyone representing the applicant? Mr. Martin, is there anything in particular that the public needs to be aware of with this project? I know they're gonna be, are the games just gonna be on the sidewalk portion, or is it gonna be in the parking lot?
Good afternoon. Yeah, the conditional use application as submitted to the city would be for both the on and off premise sale of alcoholic beverages as well as games and amusement on the site. Games and amusement consists of, and I actually have their website pulled up now for Hops and Guac. The games that they advertise include shuffleboard, a life-size Connect 4, a Scrabble wall, and a game of cornhole. And this would be included inside the building and also on patio space on the large section of sidewalk to the southwest of the building proper. It is not, according to the application, going to have games and entertainment in the parking lot.
extent of off-site sale. That is strictly, sale of kegs to adults who have been off-site somewhere else? Or does it involve liquor?
No liquor, just beer. They have a variety of beers on tap at this location. As part of this business model, they allow for folks to come in with growlers, fill those up, and take them home for consumption. But any consumption that takes place on the property would either be in the business, the building itself, or the patio area where seating would be designated. No consumption in the parking lot.
That would be the activity area as well?
That's correct.
All right. Anyone else care to speak to the public hearing? If not, then the public hearing is concluded and the chair is open for motion.
Mr. President, I'm gonna go ahead and make this resolution, or make this, motion, but I am concerned that we didn't have a presentation or the applicant present here for any of the meetings. I'll go ahead and move to.
If you are concerned, if others are concerned, we could continue it. I'm sure the applicant would prefer we deal with it tonight, but if we have concerns, it can be continued.
Planning and zoning, we kind of have a rule that we don't pass something if somebody hasn't come. I know this isn't planning and zoning, but I guess before I make the motion, does anybody have any concerns or any questions that? I'll go ahead and move that we approve resolution number 6058-19.
Second.
A motion and a second. Once again, any comments or questions from the council? Anything from the audience? Seeing and hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed nay. The ayes have it. Next, we have resolution 6059-19, which will also have a public hearing. Mr. Corley.
This resolution approves a conditional use request by Cash Civic to allow for a shopping center at 5190 Netford Drive within a C2 zone with the condition attached thereto that no additional restaurants with fixed seating beyond the one planned for easternmost unit shall be permitted within the same development.
Once again, we're starting with a public hearing. Is the applicant here this evening? Why don't you come down and give us a quick rundown of your plans?
I'm Bill Wilson with Dollar Strength and Associates, 1550 Woods of River Chase Drive, Suite 200, Hoover, Alabama 35244. We're located in the Shops of Hoover Shopping Center. We're in the last out parcel there that's undeveloped. It's right there at the intersection of 459 and 150. 459 will border our east, 150 will border our north. There's a small shopping center to our west that has a Starbucks in it as well, and Sprouts in the development is to our rear. But what we're looking to do is do about a roughly 10,000 square foot building. We'll have a restaurant that's in the front that'll actually face 150. You'll also be able to see it from 459 as well, and 459, and then we'll have tenants behind that as well. The number of tenants will dictate who wants to come, but that's what we're looking to do for tonight, is have a conditional use so that we can have a shopping center to have more than the two uses. We'll have parking that'll surround the building. This is a elevation of the building for what it will look like. This is really the front of the building. This is actually what you'll see from the 150 side and the 459 side. So that's what we're asking to do, and we have to entertain any questions you guys may have.
Any comments or questions from the council?
Just one question. The current location that y'all are located at, is that owned or leased currently? Leased.
Mayor Cash?
Bill Wilson, Cash is here.
Cash is back there.
a question. Sir, how many employees do you expect to have there?
I mean, employees,
Employees?
cash answer.
They got some of the best red beans and rice.
Cash Siddiqui, 2160, Old Rock Ridge Road. And, what was the question?
How many employees?
Employees, we'll probably be in the 22, 23 range, possibly, at max, like on a weekend, not during the week, you know.
And the business hours?
Same as existing hours, Tuesday through Sunday, Tuesday through Thursday, 11 to 9, Friday and Saturday, 11 to 10, Sundays 11 to 8. And we're keeping the same hours. If we stay busier, I mean, we keep those hours because where we're located. Now, I don't know if that's gonna change the dramatic, increase with the visibility and whatnot. So if that happens, we might increase an hour on the weekend, like maybe Sunday from 8, maybe go to 9. And there's a chance we might go 7 days. I don't want to. I can't really answer if we're gonna change the hours. I doubt it. I don't wanna work anymore. We have to, it's a tough business. So.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Is the application in your name?
Yes.
It is.
Sheddu LLC.
Sorry?
The Sheddu LLC? Yes, sir.
But somebody has to be responsible personally. Are you the person,
Yes, sir.
the state has provided?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
just checking.
Yes, sir. Any other questions, guys?
This is the public hearing. Any other questions from the audience or the council? Seeing and hearing none, this ends the public hearing, and chair's open for motion.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution 6059-19.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Chief, everything good on the police side?
I haven't seen it. This is
Oh, the alcohol comes later. Okay, all right. Any questions from the council or the audience? Just have to ask. Part of the rules. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Next, we have yet another public hearing along with resolution 6060-19. Mr. Corley.
This resolution approves a conditional use request by Cole Williams of Goodwin, Mills and Kaywood, Inc. As authorized representative for S&K Investments to amend the site plan for the conditional use approval granted by the City Council in January of 2019 for the crossings of Hoover, a senior living community.
This is a public hearing. Is the applicant here this evening? Come on down and give us a quick rundown. Almost looks like the Rock Bridge Hotel.
Cole Williams with Goodwill Mills and Kaywood, address 2701 First Avenue South, Birmingham, Alabama 35233. As was mentioned, this is the third time we've been here for the conditional use. The owner has made some minor changes due to budget and site constraints that have caused us to sort of consolidate. The biggest change really is in the elevation. It was 4 stories to here before and then 1 story down. Now it's 4 stories to here and 3 stories around. So same programs and concept, everything is generally the same, it's just elevation.
Very good. Any questions from the council? Any from the audience? Seeing and hearing none, you might want to hang on just a second. We're going to close the public hearing, and the chair is open for motion.
President, I move for approval of resolution number 6060-19.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions from the council? Any from the audience? Seeing and hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Thank you, sir. Now we're going to have a first reading. Oh, yes. Should have done this a couple ago. I guess I should have done it in the report section. Is the Vets for Vets group. I know you have a presentation on a memorial project that you would like to get started.
Thank you very much.
Sorry I made you wait so long.
My name is Mark Davis. I'm chairman of Vets for Vets and the Alabama Fallen Warriors Project. Last week, Hoover honored all those killed during September 11, the attacks on the U.S. Since 9/11, Alabama has lost 121 military veterans during the war on terror. All branches of service, ages 18 to 54, both men and women, from privates to majors. Most were killed in combat, some from suicide, some during training, even some came home on leave and were killed in a car accident or a drunk driver. It is said there are 2 deaths that occur for a military service member. The first occurs when he or she is killed. The second is when they are forgotten. Preventing the second death is what motivates me to honor and remember all 121 Alabama servicemen and women. In 2016, I developed a Veterans Memorial Arbor at Aldridge Gardens to honor our military and the 3 young men from Hoover that were killed during the war on terror. We have bronze busts at Aldridge Gardens of Marines Ryan Winslow and Thomas Rivers and Air Force Airman Andrew Hand. In 2017, after this, I founded the Alabama Fallen Warriors Project. My vision is to build a bronze bust of every veteran that's been killed from Alabama since 9/11. In 2018, I proposed to the Hoover Parks and Recreation Board my vision and a design for the Alabama Fallen Warriors Monument to recognize all 121 veterans that have been killed. Tonight, I'd like to present my vision of the monument to be located at Veterans Park. I'll have to hold these up a little bit so everybody can see, but basically, this is an aerial view of Veterans Park. And Alan Rice had a really good idea. We were looking at somewhere over here to locate the monument. I'll get to the monument design in a minute. But there's a little knoll right here that really sits above this lake, and it really has a nice viewpoint from the park and from Valleydale Road. So that's where we're proposing to put the monument. The monument consists of 121 concrete columns. And on each column will be a giant dog tag of every veteran that's been killed. Name, rank, service, branch, breed, skill, etc. There'll be a 60-foot tall flagpole in the center of this, these columns. So basically, right now we have 121 Alabama veterans killed. So 11 times 11 is 121. So basically, standing up like soldiers will be a 10-foot tall concrete column, okay? About 10 inches square. We're probably going to a round design, and on each one of those will be the dog tag. In the center of that will be an American flag, a 60-foot. We won't make it any bigger than the flag that's at Veterans Park, but it'll be a 60-foot tall flag. And basically, my vision is this, is that'll be located in the center. As the sun and the earth rotate, it will cast a shadow on every one of these columns. So we also have a few bronze busts that we've already had built that do not have a home. I'll give you an example. Marine Sergeant Jerome Murchison is killed in Iraq. He's from Adria, Alabama. His mother told me, nobody's going to come to Adria, Alabama to see my son's bust. I want to put it in a place of honor. So, what we do, the proposal is, if you look here, there's a little pathway leading up to where the monument will be located. So what we'll do is we'll put those bronze busts all along the walkway leading up to the monument area. Tommy Daniels developed a budget for the monument. The original estimate, and we were trying to clarify, Tommy was able to get here together, it's a little shock here, it's $600,000. But I think that with Tommy and I getting together, I talked to Alan earlier, that we think we can make that better. One of the other things I've done is I've talked to Alex Duchok of Shelby County, and Alex said that Shelby County will support us with the development of this monument. One of the things, Tanette left a while ago, Tanette pointed out that, you know, this would be a great tourism thing for the city of Hoover. Another thing that happens, it gives a tie-in between Veterans Park and the Veterans Memorial Arbor at Aldridge Gardens. So one of the things we looked at, I know I talked to Gene and John, and they mentioned, is there a way to maybe stretch this out over 2 years? We can spread this out over 2 years. A lot of it's in-kind donations or in-kind support work through the city. But one of the cool things is we're looking at dedicating this Memorial Weekend next year or during Veterans Week. I'm watching the news this morning, Fox, they're talking about the military and everything, and I kind of had an epiphany. September 11th of 2121 will be the 20-year anniversary. That's when we can dedicate this whole thing. So with that, I think it's a great way to honor our military servicemen and women. I serve on the Hoover Veterans Committee with General Pocopani and our team. And so I just think it's a great vision that if we can work this into the budget, I think it'd be a great tribute to all those that have lost their lives. So, thank you very much. Any questions?
Are you gonna have a separate 501c3 to collect funds for this?
Yes,
Does it-
we are a 501c3 right now.
So you've already,
Yes, we're already collecting money. We're building bronze bus now. Matter of fact, next week I go to Trussville. There was a young man, Jason Stegall, that was killed, Army veteran in Iraq, and we're getting ready to commission his bus. Now, and all the bus will go various places. It could go at the high school, it could go to City Hall, go to the library. Trussville has their own version of Veteran Park, so Jason's bus will go to their Veteran Park. But we already have a 501c3 set up for it, yes.
any other questions from the council?
Yes, Mr. President.
Yes.
Hey, John.
So, sir, you would like it in this budget?
Well, probably this budget.
The mayor wants us to look at Thursday?
Yeah, this budget, maybe into the next budget after that too, if you want to spread it out over two terms, or 2 years, excuse me.
Okay.
Mr. Rice, perhaps you could talk to Shelby County and find out what possibilities of their participation may be, because that would certainly affect what our responsibilities may be.
And to add to that, one of the things that Alex told me, he said, they're getting ready to build that welding school right across from where the monument's gonna go. He said, well, we'll have equipment and everything over there, we can do a lot of the work there to help the county, or help the city.
Mark, what's the plan, in case this needs to be expanded?
Yeah, well, the design is set up so we can we'll create a barrier around it, so that if we do have to add other columns, pray God, we don't have to do that, but we could add other columns as we expand it. Good question, thank you.
Mr. President, Mark, I do want to, as a veteran myself, to commend you and everyone that's helped with this. It's just overwhelming what you thought of.
Thank you so much. It's just blessing us all into you. Thank you, John. Thank you all very much.
Mr. President, one question.
Yes,
What's
sir.
construction time?
Sorry, yeah.
On the start date of construction, what's the construction duration?
We don't have that set yet. Hopefully, we could be able to get started, at least start maybe clearing ground. Depends on Alan and his team. Hopefully early this year, or later this year, maybe early next year. That's one nice thing about spreading it out over 2 years. We don't have to make this a rush. The way Tommy talked, he said we can kind of fill this in from other projects going on around the city. We did the same thing at Aldrich Gardens too. Question?
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Pardon?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank y'all very much.
All right, now we're gonna move back to, we have one first reading for this evening, ordinance 19-2457, Mr. Corley.
This ordinance rearranges, alters, and extends the city's corporate limits to include property owned by Black Ridge Partners LLC, as shown on the map attached to the ordinance.
And this will be the fourth and final annexation parcel for Black Ridge Partners LLC. Next, we have 3 items that we're going to set public hearings for October 7th. No actions will be taken tonight. Mr. Corley.
Resolution 607119 declares following property as a public nuisance due to weeds and or grass, 5553 North Ridge Circle, Hoover, Alabama, and orders the abatement thereof as provided under Alabama law. Resolution number 608519 approves a conditional use request by Dorothy L. Higgs and the Crafter's House to allow for craft classes with accessory alcohol sales, beer and wine only, at property located at 3417 Old Columbiana Road, Hoover, Alabama, within a C2 zone subject to the conditions set forth on Exhibit B attached to the resolution. Resolution number 608619 approves a conditional use request by Catherine Bettner, authorized representative of the Episcopal Church of the Holy Apostles, to allow the existing nursery to be used for care of infants between 6 weeks and 12 months, Monday through Friday, at the property located at 424 Emory Drive, Hoover, Alabama, within a planned office zone subject to the condition that at least 3 staff
presentation. Those will be welcome as well. We'll start with ordinance 19-2458, Mr. Corley.
This ordinance rezones property described on Exhibit A to the ordinance to Hoover PPD or Planned Development District. The public hearing and second reading of this ordinance, as well as consideration for adoption, will be held on October 7, 2009.
Is there a presentation tonight? Mr. Martin.
Thank you, Mr. President. We are considering first reading the rezoning of property by U.S. Steel, William Paul Glass, and Sherry Barrington property, as well as the Whitaker property further to the east. In total, this property extends from the Preserve Parkway on the southwest side along the southern end or southern side of Interstate 459 and all the way to Patton Creek. This property is being requested for the new planned development district. It is presently zoned C2 in our commercial district. Both city staff reviewed the request and presented it to the Planning Commission. And the Planning Commission also considered this earlier this month and is recommending rezoning it to the PDD, Planned Development District. In essence, this is a holding district for a future planned unit development. Any development that takes place on this property will have to be subject to a master plan that would need to be submitted and approved, just as your typical planned unit development process. So at this point in time, we don't have any listing of permitted uses or conditional uses, but rather that would come when the master development plan is submitted and the planned unit development is set into place. And that would assign certain areas for certain uses and give an overall master plan for the layout of the property. If you guys have any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer them.
Any questions from the council? I believe this is the first use of the new PDD zoning.
That's correct. And of course, with the comprehensive plan that was recently adopted, great care was suggested with the future development of this property, given its proximity to the interstate. It's one of the few, what we call greenfield or undeveloped areas in town. And with its central location, the comp plan was very much focused in on making sure we had adequate planning in place to make sure we were getting the highest and best use of the property. The property owners agreed with that, and thus the creation of the planned development district was adopted by this council not too terribly long ago to allow for us to have continued planning activities and consider a master development plan when the property and the property owners are ready for development.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from the council? Used to be that the council had presentations at the second reading only. At the beginning of this term, I felt for many years, even beyond this term, that having a presentation at the first reading gives both the council and the public greater opportunity to come back at the second reading and the likely vote that would come with such items to be able to ask more intelligent questions and not feel like something is being hurried along just for the sake of trying to hurry it. So we will take public comments at the second reading. Next, we have ordinance 19-2459, Mr. Corley.
This ordinance rezones property located at 2869 Georgetown Drive from Jefferson County R1 to Hoover R1. Public hearing and second reading of this ordinance as well as consideration for adoption will be held on October 7th, 2009.
This is just a simple rezoning on a recently annexed property. Next, we have ordinance 19-2460, Mr. Corley.
This ordinance rezones property located at 1856 Buttercup Drive from Jefferson County R1 to Hoover R1. Public hearing and second reading of this ordinance as well as consideration for adoption will be on October 7th, 2009.
Once again, this is rezoning of a recently annexed property. Comments or questions from the council?
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
Last night, my dear mother-in-law, I know people make a lot of jokes about mother-in-laws, but I have a great mother-in-law. She's one of the sweetest ladies I've ever met. She lives in Greystone Farms and fell in her backyard, was incapacitated for over an hour in the heat. And some neighbors heard her. And the paramedics were there quicker than they could even walk over it. And she Bentley, if you could pass that along, my thanks. And I'd like to know who that was so I can personally thank them. So thank you.
Sorry. She fell and injured herself and was incapacitated.
She broke her head. But thank you to the entire police department, or entire fire department, but please pass specifically along to the gentleman. And I think it was not benefit. I haven't put together the whole story yet, but the neighbors heard her through the woods crying out for help, and by the time they could get there, our folks were already there. So good job. Thank you.
Anything else from the council this evening? Anything from the audience? Y'all are pointing at each other. Mr. Singer, how are you, sir?
Arnold Singer, 613 River Haven Place. We need more fun in Hoover. If we have more fun, then people will travel to Hoover to join the fun. Having fun can be profitable for Hoover businesses and for the city coffers. How can we help create fun without costing the city an arm and a leg? The answer? Festivals. Imagine a multi-day rib fest sponsored by a local civic club. I attended one in Halifax, and we bought and enjoyed a rack of ribs and all the fixings. And it was a 4-day event for the benefit of the Rotary Club in Halifax, which then benefited the community. But there was naturally sales tax on the sales there. Festivals could be held in many places, including the Galleria, Patton Creek, Aldridge Gardens, Trinity Center, Hoover Met Parking, Veterans Park, etc. You could have pop-up vendors. 2 weeks ago I mentioned about shipping containers being used creatively. And I even volunteered at an international busker festival. Buskers are the street performers, okay? And literally, it costs nothing to have buskers come from all around the world. They do their thing for the tips that people give them. And really through the 4 different stages, running for 5 days, plus also a bandstand. And I think it's a conversation that we should start. Let's become known as the Fun City. Let's become known as the festival.
Mr. Rice, maybe you could talk to Ms. Cobalt to see if we have opportunity at Bolster. Anything else? Ms. Schultz? Do you have anything tonight? No? Very good. Anything else from the audience? Mr. Mayor, do you have anything else? Anything else from the council? We're adjourned.